Hello and welcome to the Philippines. This is a news update, a little bit about travel, the Sinulog Festival, that is actually today, Sunday the 16th, and these are some of the dancers at Ayala Mall running around putting on deals here. Anyway, and a whole lot about some of the challenge that we are dealing with here in the Philippines and in Visayas and Cebu City with we're almost a month past the Super Typhoon that came through here. Still having issues, and we'll get into that as well. So come along. The huge Cinelog Festival it culminates on the third Sunday of January each year. It's a religious and cultural festival, sometimes drawing over 3 million people into the city, and many different events going on. The last 2 years they've been pretty much virtual. They've got just very few events going on this year, so it's for many it's a non-event. They're still recovering from the typhoon. Sinulog includes many religious events like the solemn procession. This was back in January 18th. There isn't one this year or last year because of the crisis. And you've got parades that last all day long. Very interesting. People from all over the country bringing in their acts, their bands, whatever. And you've got street life. You've got the street dancing, what they call this, Mango Square, and people running up and down the street for a kilometer or more, hollering "Pit Senor," and this is during the day. I think this was during the parade down on Mango Avenue as well. There were several bars along here. The Beat was a big one, big popular one, played some good music. Marshall's up here, they recently, a couple months ago, they sent out a notice they closed permanently. They could not handle the economic lockdown any longer. And these government mandated lockdowns have just destroyed. So let's get into some details. I am redoing this. I had started doing this previously, and I started getting into kind of a negative rant, and I know most of you don't want to listen to that. So I started this all over again. We're going to try to be positive. 2022, we're going to try to be positive. So anyway, let's talk about travel a little bit. There's you still at this point in time, you cannot buy a ticket and fly into the Philippines and get a tourist visa on arrival that for 30 days that you were able to do for years and years and years. There are a few visa categories and few requirements for those people that they can get in here, and I've done videos about that. I would refer you to JRC Visa Consultancy, and I'll put a link to his site, Healthy Options. That's where I buy a little bit of the herbs and stuff that I use. But going to walk around Ayala Mall a little bit during this little chat, a little bit about the news and what's going on. Travel within the Philippines. If you are in the Philippines, you probably know already that many of the areas have gone from level 2 to a more strict level 3, and it's becoming more difficult, more risky to travel domestically within the Philippines. There's a new rule, and these rules can change weekly or every 2 weeks, and so it makes travel risky regardless. You might go someplace and not be able to get back to your home here in the Philippines. There is a no vax, no ride rule, and Philippine Airlines also put that into effect, I guess, especially for people coming or going to the NCR region, National Capital Region in Manila. And so we'll just see how that goes. A little bizarre, really, because everybody knows by now that the vaxes do not prevent a person from getting the virus, nor do they keep you from transmitting the virus. So it doesn't really make any logical sense, but it is what it is. And then going forward, around the province of Cebu, it is you're not supposed to travel unless go out of your house unless it is for essential goods. Unless you have you need to buy food or medicine, unless you have a medical issue, you need to go see a doctor, those types of things. Until the end of January. So basically they had taken a step forward, now 2 steps back again. So there's no indication. I haven't seen any hints at all in any of the news that I read of when this country might actually open up to tourism. Something they desperately need to do. They have a big part of the economy here, and still millions of people out of work because the whole travel industry, the country's economy has been shut down essentially. I watched a site, if you're interested in Thailand, you might check out Integrity Legal Thailand, interesting site about the rules and regulations in Thailand. He puts out a little blurb every day. He's got a YouTube channel. And there, the Philippines, when times were, in 2019, I think they had about 9 million tourist visitors. Thailand had about 40 million. 20% of their GDP was related to tourism. And a big part of the economy in the Philippines is related to tourism, so that has been destroyed effectively. And you can see this mall would be, during the normal average times, during the Sinulog Festival, would be full of people. And you can see how sparse it is. There are more people here than on an average day. I can tell you that because of some people are here because of the Cinelog, and they got a couple little events going on, I guess. Another thing that's happened for a couple of reasons, they've because we have elections in they're setting up for some kind of a little event down here, I think, for Cinelog. Because of elections in May of 2022, they have a new rule. Unless you have special permit to carry a gun during these times, they set up checkpoints around the country to check for guns, or if you're carrying large amounts of cash that you might use to pay off the locals to vote for your guy, kind of thing. And happens all over the world. It's just more open here in the Philippines. I was on Bohol Island a couple of years ago. Came upon one of those election checkpoints, and they just checked my license and sent me on my way. But they might check backpacks. I've seen an traffic enforcer the other day stop a taxi driver, and not only question the taxi driver for documents, but also ask the passenger something. They rolled down their window and want to know where they were from, where they're going, I guess. One good thing about travel now, for the last 20 plus months, every barangay, village, town, city would have and did have their own policy for travel, requirement, restrictions. And Cebu, Governor Garcia, has been pushing this for some time, and the mayors of the cities, Mayor of Cebu City, Mandaue City, Lapu-Lapu City on Mactan Island, the Tri-Cities, if you will, they have agreed to have a one Cebu travel policy, so that there's not that confusion when trying to travel Cebu, at least. S&R Pizza over there, favorite for many. They always have a crowd over there. Majestic, nice Asian, Chinese type restaurant. Eaten in there a number of times, good food. This is the upper area of Ayala. Many restaurants along here, although many of these restaurants have closed, and all you have is vacant spaces up here because of economic lockdowns. Now, more and more, we're having some challenges. Some of them are related to 20 plus months of economic travel lockdowns around the country, not the country, but the whole world and the country as well. More and more I'm seeing out of stock, and 3 times in the last couple of weeks I've been to grocery stores, and it seems that there is some panic buying. Some of that is because of the Super Typhoon that came through here, Odette, and left damage. People are stocking up or restocking damaged goods, I suppose. And the other one is that people start seeing empty shelves of certain things. I went to the store the other day, three different stores actually, and I sometimes buy tuna in water. Vegetable oil is not healthy. You can research that if you're not aware of that. So I don't buy tuna in vegetable oils. And they're all out of stock. Out of stock. And I don't have a dog, but I walked by the pet food area, and some of the shelves were getting very low, and the clerk was trying to restock as fast as he could. Some areas they would have, to make it look full, they would have one line but only one deep of product, canned goods, something like that. So part of it is because of the worldwide economic lockdown and the supply chains. Anything coming from other countries, there's backup in the ports. That's a interesting little ride, virtual, put on a headset and go for a virtual freaky ride, I guess. So you've got those issues all over the world. And in the central section of the Philippines, where Super Typhoon Odette came through, we've got a second punch in the gut, in that many ships and boats have been damaged, so they're out of commission. And you've got damage to crops and such in the mountains. They're salvaging what they can, and they'll replant some items they can replant and harvest within a month or so. Others take 1, 2, 3 months before they can harvest. So we're in that situation, and many countries decades ago went to just in time shipments. So they know what their inventory is and how it moves, so they would ship things just to arrive, because it costs money to have huge stocks of inventory. So here we are, 1 month after Typhoon Odette, Super Typhoon, and there's still people lining up on the street waiting for water. They're not supplied water yet. I continue to fill every container up, because we've actually been out of water. 2 days ago we were out all day and part of the night, or all night, and then we had water one day, and then yesterday we didn't have water until evening. And there's a sign in the elevator saying that our regular water supplier, the big water supplier here, and I'd heard this a week or two ago, that they might have some problem delivering the water that they're supposed to deliver. So anyway, we are now getting water from a second source, and the rates have gone up substantially. Our minimum has gone from 100 to 200, which we're always we're right in that area, just a little bit over, I think. 200 is $4, very reasonable. And the rate of consumption from 60 pesos per CBM, cubic meter, something like that, to 350 pesos per CBM. So substantial raise in rates. So we'll see what our rate ends up being. Now, before the storm, I bought extra water, 5-gallon jugs, and I also filled when I woke up in the middle of the night after our electric went off, because our power generator in the condo ran out of diesel fuel. I got up and immediately filled every container, wastebasket, whatever, with water, because I was afraid without electric we're not going to have water pumped up to the roof so it can drain back down. So another issue that makes this even worse is that the Airbnbs, the Booking.coms, any condominium hotel that has a generator, water and electric these days, people who have damaged homes and they've got money They're booking rooms, so we've got a lot of people living in our condominium. So our water usage has gone up substantially. And anyway, so it runs out. It runs out, and the delivery truck is not being able to keep up with the demand apparently. So anyway, we'll just deal with it. Have to deal with it. Internet is still not up, maybe 50% in the city, something like that. For the rest of this video, I'm going to take you down Fuenteos Minia Circle, uptown Cebu City area during the Sinulog Festival 2019, I'm pretty sure. And I might take you down to Mango Square area a little bit, give you a little bit of idea of what it was like back during quote-unquote normal times when 3 million people might flock to the city and get involved in all these activities. Religious activities, parades, solemn marches, just all sorts of things, just having a good time. I hope they don't lose that culture. I hope that they finally open up. It's always a virtual event this year, mostly. They did have some kind of procession and a few people standing around at different churches waiting for the procession to pass by, I guess. A few events at malls. But anyway, I just told my friend here, walking ahead of me, I said, be careful, people are starting to press in on us. And a minute later, or seconds later, I reached for my phone and my wallet, and my phone was gone. So I had my phone snatched. 2 times that's happened at Cinelog festivals. And one time, first time, 2016, I was down here, got into a massive bone-crushing crowd, and you couldn't move. You were just crushed. I now understand how people get crushed in crowds at different events around the world, crushed to death or severely injured. Anyway, when I finally got out of that, I turned around and finally worked my way out of that crowd. I had neither a wallet nor a phone, so I went back to my condo, called all my credit card companies, bank companies, shut everything down, and went to the mall, bought a new phone. So it's best not to carry valuables, and even for 1 or 2 years during these festivals, here again, we're back down on Mango Avenue, Mango Square area. And just don't carry them. If you do carry any valuables, make sure they're very well secured and hang on to them. But there's many people, professional pickpockets, come to town, various towns during festivals, just to separate you from your valuables. There were times and places where they, a couple of years ago, where they shut the cellular service down for a period of time because of a potential bomb threat, is what I understand. So even if you had a phone, you would not be able to contact. So have a place, if you're with other people and you're in a crowd any place in the world and you get separated, have a place where you're going to meet, a place and time where you're going to meet. Because plan for the unexpected. Anyway, I miss these times. It was a good time. Everybody had a good time, especially the pickpockets, who were successful, I guess you would say. The Cologne Street area also had a huge crowd. They had a night market down there. And don't think they had anything like that this year. There was a while back, before Christmas, they were talking about having a bit of a night market, and off and on over the last 2 years of lockdown, they've had a little bit something like that down there on a much smaller scale. But presently, the economy is pretty dead. Not much going on. The Philippines has a lot to offer. Welcoming people, friendly people, English-speaking people, has a lot to offer. I hope they don't blow this opportunity. They have an opportunity now to open up their economy, to open up their travel, tourism, and start recovering. Marshall's Bar, they're very popular. They closed permanently a few months ago. Said they could not handle it after 20 months, 17 months probably at that time. They could not handle these continued lockdowns, changing in policies. I hope they don't blow this opportunity. Anyway, thanks for coming along. Pit Senior, happy Cinelog, happy New Year, and we'll see you next time.